Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek, and welcome to day 17 of my 31 days of Halloween reviews. As always, click the link on the top right hand corner there if you want to check out any of the previous videos in this playlist for the Halloween reviews. Covered a lot of great stuff, a good variety. Today we're going to look at the third and final installment in this edition, Batman Haunted Knight. So if you missed the reviews of the previous two stories, again, check the links there, check the list. I go through and give some background. Just to recap briefly, this series was born out of the Legends of the Dark Knight series that came about after the Batman '89 film, and Batmania really took hold of the public so much, so it was a big deal having the first new Batman solo title in since the 40s, basically, I think it was. I showed my collector's edition of that first issue last time. On the table before you, since this wasn't a series born out of the great '89 series, I have my Batman, Michael Keaton's Batman there that I showed before, but I also have my Hot Wheels Batmobile, the Tim Burton Batmobile. This is my favorite design. Anton Furst, of course, was the production designer for that original Batman film, and he won awards for that design. It was just beautifully gothic, his set and everything. I don't know if he designed the car per se, but it just matches that aesthetic, and certainly that Tim Burton aesthetic. It's a little exaggerated in the hood, you know, but I still just love the look. It looks like very much a Dracula mobile, and that was the great thing about that film that Tim Burton really preserved. I mean, he made some changes. Otherwise, it's not the perfect Batman representation movie ever, but he really preserved that gothic nature of the character, which I loved. So I'll show some more of my figures and collectibles next time when we look at The Long Halloween, which would come after this. But today, let's look at the final installment of our Haunted Knight series, and this one is entitled Ghosts. And I'll go ahead and give, it's not really a spoiler, but I'll just go ahead and give it away. This story is a retelling, not a retelling, what's the word? A version of The Christmas Carol. So, you know, Scrooge and the three ghosts of the Christmas past, present, and future visiting him and everything like that. That's the setup for this story. But it's not, you know, sometimes, especially when Christmas time comes around, and if you turn on the Hallmark Channel, for heaven's sakes, or anything like that, you'll see there have been 1,000 different retellings of this type of story, or reimaginings, and of course they've tried to update it to where, you know, one of them will have it as somebody in corporate America, or Scrooge is a woman this time, or all kinds of takes. And some of them are quite good, some of them are interesting and have a fresh take, others are just ridiculous and clearly just trying to, you know, appeal to that Christmas-like crowd. Even though this one is going off of that relative outline of the Christmas Carol, it's all about Halloween. So this takes place the night before Halloween. And remember that the Legends of the Dark Knight series were about a Batman who was very young in his career. That was the whole idea with that series. So you weren't messing with current continuity. This was a Batman very young in his career. So this is a Batman who's young. And I love this story so much because, in fact, I would almost say it's one of my favorite Batman stories ever. It's not because it's written so amazingly or anything. I mean, it's you know, taking the construct from A Christmas Carol, so it's not breaking, you know, wonderful new ground. But for the Batman, it truly is. And I don't want to give away too much. I'll talk a little bit about some of the specifics in the art there. But I will say that the basic gist about this is it's a Scrooge type story. So Batman himself is the Scrooge character, and it opens with a heist of a charity event that he's attending as Bruce Wayne, and the Penguin comes to rob the place. And he's very brutal. He even says, take him down, be as brutal as you need to. The whole point is minimizing casualties. And he beats him pretty well and takes him down. And he talks about how he's not, you know, not really interested in Halloween. He's talking with Lucius Fox at one point about possibly setting up sort of foundation for the poor or whatever. And he's not really interested in that because they don't understand that his goal in life is to be Batman. His goal in life is to honor that promise that he made to his parents about ridding Gotham of the crime that killed them. And he's really myopic about that. And I think what's interesting about that is that right there in a nutshell, that is your modern take on Batman almost everywhere. It's really ridiculous. Luckily, in some of the Batman Rebirth comics, especially the detective comics, that's not the case. I really, really highly recommend the Detective Rebirth comics currently being put out. But too many places have just depicted Batman like that. He's just so driven, and he's so, and then they get to where he's just brutal like the Punisher, and I've talked ad nauseum about that in a video before October called The Batman Problem, so I'll link to that in the top right-hand corner as well for you to check out to really hear me geek out and vent about that. But the beauty of this story, and one of the things that makes it one of my favorite Batman stories, is that these spirits come to him to teach him the lesson that this is not enough for you to do in your life. You can't just be Batman. The Jacob Marley character is the ghost of his father, because you get some flashbacks to how his father was just so driven and taken with his career. And even in some of the flashback points when he neglects coming home to take Bruce out for trick-or-treating because he's so driven by his career. I'm trying not to show you any of the big story reveals. Once you know it's based on the Christmas Carol construct, then you already know the kind of story outline to come. So I'm trying not to give you away some of the main details. Again, we got the beautiful Tim Sale art, and I love Tim Sale's art because it's so artistic, even when I don't like the aesthetics of it. Like, this is his penguin. I'm not crazy about the aesthetics of his penguin. I think his penguin looks a little weird. Looks like a penguin, but I understand what he's doing, and I appreciate what he's doing. Tim Sale, as I've said before, likes to pick an element of the character and exaggerate it, and try and use that to really make a statement about the character. This is one two-page spread that's all over the internet. If you Google Batman and Halloween, this one pops up all the time. Doesn't really show the Joker's jaw there very well, but the Joker's got this deep, exaggerated grin with these jagged teeth. Yeah, so you can see it kind of here and there, and that's because that's what the Joker's his main trait is that his insane, his laughter, and what hides behind the laughter and what the purpose of it is. So for the Penguin, we've got this exaggerated mouth again. But it's not like the Joker. The teeth are very small. And I think that's to say that the Penguin's defining trait is his appetite. Whether it's his appetite for acclaim and for his slighted pride he feels, or appetite for the goods that he steals and for wealth and all of the ill-gotten gain he tries to get in the world. That's how Jeph Loeb writes him in these stories, and that's how Tim Sale portrays him. So I appreciate what he's doing there. Ivy shows up. Again, I don't want to go into too many details to spoil too many things for you, but Ivy shows up. Now, I will say one thing. If I could change anything about Tim Sale's art, I think you've got to give Ivy that red hair. I appreciate the choice to make her hair be leaves and vines like that, but it just... And I love the way he draws her otherwise. I think he gets the femininity down quite well. Makes her this seductress, makes her just the character she should be. I love the face, but she's got to have that red hair. It needs that iconic red hair. So the only critique you'll ever hear me level against Tim Sale is that. But all right, so I'm not going to show you too much more there. But the ending is such a great payoff as well. So remember that this all takes place the night before Halloween, and he wakes up and he's got a choice now what to do with Halloween. And the ending, you read those last 2 pages. I defy you to find any Batman story today that would even remotely have this same outcome. It's well, maybe some of the Rebirth stuff. I have seen a couple of the Rebirth things because they really are trying hard to return to what makes their characters great and the soul of their characters. And a lot of the writers, not all of them, but some of the writers are really trying to get Batman away from this Punisher-like, soulless vigilante core and nonsense that they've gotten him into lately. But just a great story. I know I'm being vague. You know it's a Christmas Carol type story, but it's still very much worth reading. I highly recommend this volume as well. If you haven't picked up this volume, you might own The Long Halloween, or you might, think, well, I want to get The Long Halloween first because that's the one everybody talks about. And that's a great one. We're going to talk about that before October's out. But this one is a must-buy. Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale, Batman the Haunted Knight, is just brilliant. And it really is a wonderful Halloween read because each of the 3 stories involved in here, which I think were released in 3 successive Halloweens within the Legends of the Dark Knight run, I believe. But definitely highly recommend it. Come back tomorrow for another great Halloween-related superhero and or comic book story. Remember our giveaway. If I can get this channel up to 250 subscribers before Halloween Day, then I will give away a copy of my Batman Nevermore, which is the Batman Edgar Allan Poe team-up that I reviewed a couple weeks ago in this October reviews. So check that video out for that in the top right-hand corner. All you need to do is comment on one of these videos, any of them, and once I get to 250 subscribers, if I do, then I will pick a name out of a hat and give away this fine issue. So great stuff to come. Lots more titles to come. We've got DC, Marvel, got other independent and out of the way issues and publishers to come. I even have a couple more Archie stuff to come. So come back tomorrow at 6, share it with friends, and keep enjoying and digging deeper into the superhero and Halloween stories you love. Thanks for watching.